Welcome to the reading of Turning 25 on my 52nd birthday. This is a story of my life right after my divorce as I grew into a new woman. Please comment any questions on the video below. I'll get back to them as soon as I can. And thank you so much. Please like and subscribe also. Thanks. Chapter 43 and 44. Nicole and Veronica got dressed up and put their makeup on and really got excited about the Christmas party. On the way to the party, Veronica found out that the fair had been called off. Apparently, the company putting on the fair could not get all the proper licenses in time. Her friend decided not to go at all. This would be a waste of time for him. So on the way to the Christmas party, Veronica and Nicole decided they would still go to Texas and they would just stay in San Antonio instead of going down south. So Veronica got busy changing the hotels around. That was all she really needed to do since she still needed the rental car and they were flying into San Antonio anyway. That was quite a lot of excitement for the 30-minute drive to the party. Once they arrived at the party, Veronica had to make one more phone call and then everything was taken care of. They walked into the party, which was in a hotel, and where the party was being held. There were a lot of separate rooms. This seemed a little unusual and made it hard to socialize. But it was a nice atmosphere. They first got a couple drinks and visited with people that Nicole worked with. Then they went ahead and ate. The food was pretty good. The music was a couple of dueling pianos, and it was fun. No one was dancing though. Veronica did get up during one song and began to dance, but it was really kind of uncomfortable, so she stopped about halfway in between. Once the actual dueling pianos were finished, they just played DJ music. Then everyone just started to dance. Nicole had told one of her friends from work that he needed to dance with her mom. This was a nice guy and was really fun to party with. Other people were on the dance floor. Veronica certainly didn't need a partner. During one song, Nicole's friend and Veronica were really dancing and getting into the drama of the dance. And she had so much fun. It was fun. Then at another point, there was no one on the dance floor except for Nicole and Veronica. They took up the whole dance floor and had a wonderful time. That was the best time Veronica had dancing in a long time. They stayed until the music was finished and drove home. They had to leave in the morning around 8 a.m. to catch their flight to Texas. There was not too much time to sleep. They got up, and thank God they were mostly packed, but they did have to unpack their costumes because the fair was canceled. It felt pretty hurried, but they made it to the airport in plenty of time. They were both so tired when they got there. They checked into their hotel, and they got these little mini suites, which was really nice. That way they could hang out if they wanted. The first day, they walked around the Riverwalk to see what was there. They went to dinner and actually went back to the rooms early. The next day, they went to watch their football team at one of the bars. They only had a couple drinks, but it was fun. There was a few people sitting with them that wanted to watch the same game. Then once the game was over, they found an old-time photography shop. They decided they wanted to get their pictures taken. The pictures came out really great. Veronica did get a text from Rick shortly after the game had ended. They chatted a little bit about the football game. She told him she was in Texas, and he was surprised. They hadn't talked, no wonder he was surprised. She also didn't want to say anything about going because he didn't need to know. They chatted just a little bit more, and then they were done. Veronica and Nicole walked more on the Riverwalk and then decided to go to Dave & Buster's and ate and played games. It was really fun. They played this little motorcycle game where Veronica would not have done that a year ago at all. She would have been too embarrassed. She was proud of herself, so she didn't care anymore what anyone thought. The next day they toured the Alamo and they did a tour of a museum. Nice and relaxing day. They did some shopping and had a couple drinks on the Riverwalk. They didn't stay out too late, and the next day they were flying home. Boy, those days went by quick. It was good for both of them, though, to get away. The trip back was uneventful, so now it was a matter of starting to pack for their move. This was a big chore. They were going to get the boxes packed as soon as they could, at least for the things that they didn't use. They knew that they would need to have movers for the furniture and the big stuff. Christmas came so quickly. Veronica and Nicole went to Veronica's sister's house in the morning, and later that day they spent some time with Melissa and her husband. Melissa was trying to get her husband Gary to find a woman. Melissa had been seeing another man, but Gary wasn't seeing anyone. He was doing online dating but wasn't having much luck. So Veronica, Nicole, and Gary decided they would all go out dancing. Maybe they could all meet someone. They all ended up going out the night before New Year's, which was fine. Veronica really avoided going out on New Year's Eve anyway. So they went out and finally found a bar that was playing a rock band was playing. There really wasn't all that many people. Gary and Nicole drank and talked. Veronica went right on the dance floor. There was nothing stopping her. An occasional girl or guy would come dance with her, but no one stayed dancing. That was okay. Veronica was happy as long as she was dancing. She didn't care what anyone was thinking. With New Year's right there, Veronica knew that she needed to start on her path of quitting smoking. She needed to be nicotine-free 4 weeks prior to her surgery, so she wanted to start cutting back. So she started by using the patch and just smoking a couple cigarettes a day. This was the day to start. She texted Rick to tell him Happy New Year. He texted her back a little later saying how much he appreciated her. He appreciated her in his life, and he felt lucky to know her. It was a very nice text. Almost felt like something was wrong, but it was very nice. Veronica and Nicole had less than 2 weeks to move. Nicole seemed to be handling everything fine, but Veronica started to becoming stressed. It didn't help that she was not happy at work, but now she was quitting smoking, and they were moving, and they had to pack and get everything ready. They needed to get things done around the house. It was just starting to really get to her. Veronica and Nicole went to see the tarot card reader that they favored. Veronica had a reading from the man. After they were done with the reading, they talked a lot. It was decided she really needed to finish her book. Not only would it help her, but it could help someone else. And he made a really good point that if it only helped one person, then it was worth getting it out there. They also came to the conclusion that it wasn't the men Veronica didn't trust, but she did not trust herself. She was so afraid of allowing another bad man in that she just wouldn't let anyone in at all. This was a hard fact to grasp, but it made sense. But how do you heal from that? She had to figure that out. The move ended up going okay. There were some issues with the buyer moving into Veronica's old house, but it got worked out. However, it was making her more stressed. Veronica was really starting to have anxiety daily and feeling overstressed constantly. She assumed it was from the smoke, cutting down on the smoking and moving. I mean, there was a lot happening. She scheduled her surgery, which was another scary thing. Rick and her were having occasional conversations via text. He was telling her how they would have to make memories in her new house. He wanted to make sure to mark his territory, so to speak. That was kind of fun. They weren't texting every day by any means, but they were communicating much more often. She was sending him an occasional nude photo on Snapchat, now not every day, but here and there. And sometimes he would respond and sometimes he would not. It actually didn't really bother her. One night she was sexting Rick and Steve. Steve was the man from the Renaissance Fair. She was sending him pictures at one point and she couldn't remember who she sent what to. Veronica was certainly drinking at this point, otherwise she would have never been doing that. It started to get towards the end of the month, and Rick and her were not really communicating all that much, just rarely here and there. They were talking, but just not frequently. Veronica, however, was not doing well. She was really starting to dislike going to the office. She was also not wanting to be home. She was getting to be a real mess. One day she called in sick. She just didn't want to go in and to work. She was home. She was home, and on her work phone, she received an email that said someone needed her right away. Well, she did the wrong thing. She did the wrong thing, and she called the person. Then proceeded to get upset that she had not known that they were going live, and if she had known, she might have been able to make it into the office. She was pretty upset. Well, the next day at work, her boss called and gave her a talking to. She almost quit, and he almost fired her. It was not a good feeling at all. It also was not fair. This man knew they were going live, but failed to let her know. She talked to Rick about it. Rick was a very good listener and always made Veronica think about a situation. She felt better getting it off her chest, but she still was not okay. Things really felt like they were getting out of control. She truly started to feel like she had no control in her own life. She didn't like her job, and it was becoming more and more dreadful to go. She didn't have anyone to date, which just made her feel inferior. She didn't have very many friends. She was starting to spin right out of control. She was hanging on, but just enough. But it was barely. She decided she needed to take control of something, so she decided that she would tell Rick how she felt as soon as she could. She wrote him a very long email. It was probably way too much, but that was certainly Veronica, over the top on everything she did. She sent it to him, but did not hear back. She actually never heard back. She didn't bother him about it, but she thought it odd that he would not say anything at all. She then decided she needed to make some trips. There were 2 places she really wanted to go visit. She made plans to Seattle and Orlando. She just wanted to make sure she got to see some people that she really enjoyed. She absolutely needed to get out. Rick had texted her about wanting to get pictures again of her in lingerie, so she was excited about that. She was really hoping that they would see each other soon. Usually when he said things like that, it normally worked out. She had texted him that she had bought a couple things that she wanted to have pictures of her wearing. He asked what, and she said it was a surprise, and that if he didn't like it, they didn't have to use them during sex, but she would ask him to take some pictures of her in it anyway. So chapter 43 and 44, the trip was really fun. The Christmas party was really fun. All of that was great. It was a great time to get away. It was so much needed. And with Rick texting her that on New Year's, it was really a nice text, and he said that he really appreciated her and his life, and it made her feel really good about things and just feeling good as a person. So that was really kind of a nice thing to happen. But then with the move, I'm going to talk about me again. I got really stressed, really big, and that situation at work was pretty bad. The person hadn't told me that they were having this project and going to go live, and made such a big deal that I wasn't in the office and had some issues, and I was like, what am I supposed to do? You didn't tell me you were going live that day, and it was just a mess. And then he ended up telling my boss about it, and I had a really good talking to, but it really wasn't fair, really, not at all. So anyway, that was that. And things were starting to get pretty rough for her. So I'll continue with that. Thanks.